Hey guys, just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an update on the programming and what you're going to see over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Many of you have been kind of asking about where is this programming going, what are we going to be doing, and possibly asking when is it going to change. So here's what's happening. Um, Obviously, about 10, 12 weeks ago, we did some testing for some 5 rep maxes and some 3 rep maxes on basic movements: back squat, power clean, deadlift, and bench press. Those movements are pretty basic, and a lot of the movements that we do revolve around those. So, improving these lifts improve many things. Um, so, what we've likely seen over the last several weeks and months is that we have gotten a little more competent in these movements. The competency is one of the first ways to gain strength, getting better at the movement. Second way to do it is to overload. So we've gotten constant exposure to these movements as well as been overloading them over the last 10, 12 weeks. Some of you have possibly already reset or reloaded, but this week we are all going to reset. We are going to be dropping the weights down to about 3 weeks ago. For many of the lifts, the big lifts, back squat and deadlift, we're going to be 15 pounds from your last week weight this week for guys, and 7.5 pounds for ladies. You're dropping back 3 weeks. What you should find with that weight is it is a bit of a step back. It is a lighter weight, and that's going to allow us to do a couple things. For the power clean and the bench press, we're dropping back approximately 6 pounds for guys, 3 pounds for ladies. What we're going to then do is practice what's called compensatory acceleration. While all these movements will be full range of motion, what you might find if you pay attention to it is that in each movement there's an eccentric phase, which is the lowering of the weight or the negative portion of the weight. And then there's a brief isometric hold at the bottom when you switch directions. There's a brief moment there where you're at an isometric hold, where you're not overcoming the weight and the weight's not overcoming you. It's a kind of a stalemate for a second. And then you have the concentric motion of the movement, which is the positive motion. That's the return to the start position. So what you should find while you're doing this, because the weights are going to still be a little bit heavy, is that there is a grinding moment approximately 2/3 of the way through the positive motion of the exercise. That grinding moment, that sort of kind of sticking point, everybody has it. Once you get through that grinding moment of the rep, it gets easier. Okay? So at that moment that you get through the sticking point, then you're going to finish strong. That's the compensatory acceleration. Once you get through that phase where it's the sticking point, we want you to finish fast. We're trying to ignite the white muscle fiber, the really fast twitch muscle fiber that's going to allow you to move weights more powerfully. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. So after this moment, this week of backing off, we will continue to then add weight for the next 2 more weeks. So we have this week and then 2 more weeks of adding weight. The 4th week from today, we will retest back squat, deadlift, bench press, and power clean. What we should see is some movement forward. We've gotten better at the movements, especially if you've been following along through this whole training and hopefully choosing the weights correctly and moving up correctly. What you might find through all this as we've done this is that there is some importance to tracking things. There's importance to tracking your weights. There's importance to um, to multiple exposures to the same movement, getting better. At the end of the day, we want people moving better. The better you move, the less chance of injury you have, the quicker you move, the more powerfully you move. So many people are really focused on kind of what I like to call fittertainment, where the exercise has to be entertaining and it has to be interesting and it has to be constantly changing. And while there's some benefit to that, the benefit to that is to the person that is moved past novice. And moving past novice means getting better at primal movements, getting better at pushing, pulling, squatting, hinging, carrying, those types of things. The better you are at those, then you can actually start playing around with more variables. But in the beginning, you kind of need to have a lot of exposure to that movement. So, kind of in completing all this, we're going to be making some changes in the way we do things. We're not changing the movements just yet, but we are changing how we do it and making a few other adjustments. So in about 4 weeks, this period will end, and we'll move on to some other things. But for now, I want you to enjoy the progress of getting better at the movements, getting your technique a little bit better. We've seen that in rowing, we've seen that in power cleans, we've seen that in squatting, we've seen that in bench pressing, we've seen that in deadlifting. So get better, get stronger to move forward. All right, thanks.